Good afternoon, folks. It's the IntelFrog with a how-to video, and today we're going to take a look at ADSBExchange. I'm going to show you how to navigate around, what the different buttons do, some of the cool tricks that you can do with ADSBExchange, and some of the neat features. So we'll get started over here at the map, and when you first open ADSBExchange, it can look a lot like this. A little bit overwhelming. There's a lot going on. But we'll get through it here, and let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to go over are the buttons over along the right hand side. U will toggle everything military and interesting on. Give my browser a second to catch up. There we go. Takes a second there when you got all the aircraft on. So this will toggle on all military aircraft that are transponding at the moment that's being seen by the ADSBExchange network. Right now on the right hand side you can see we've got a total of 321 up on screen right now, and that's automatically counting all of these for us. H is for home. Now if you enabled GPS tracking when you went to the website, you can hit H if you're somewhere else on the map, and it'll center the map back at your location. If you didn't, you can still hit H, and then it'll ask you usually if you want to enable GPS, and then it will center at your location. T is toggling all the tracks. So it'll take a little bit to load. I'm not going to load it all, but it'll show the tracks for everything. L is for labels. So it'll show you the call sign. You can hit O for label extensions, and it'll change what's showing. So now we see the altitude and the speed. Hit it again, and we also see the registration, type, altitude, speed, and then call sign. You can see that gets to be a little bit much. Cycle through, and hit it again, and then it'll cycle through, and then it's back to just the labels. I like to have the labels on just so that I can look at the call sign. Some of the aircraft you can tell what they're doing by their call sign, so I like to have the call signs on, that way I can see them. K is going to be for track labels. So if we have an aircraft selected, like Ranger 04, here, let's zoom in on it. Looks like he's down playing in Key West right now. So we'll hit K, and you'll see labels start to appear on the track. Zoom in on the track and you'll see more labels appear. Then to get rid of that, hit K again, and it all cleans off. M is for multi-select. So if you want to select several different aircraft, say I wanted to select C-130s in Florida. So I select the C-130s, then I would hit I if I want to take all the other aircraft on the map away, and you see that clears out all the other aircraft on the map. Just what I have selected is displayed on the map. Hit I again, and it undoes it and brings everything back. P is for persistence mode. That leaves the planes on the screen after the signal's lost until you refresh the screen. So if you want to do like a track count and see how many aircraft sorties per day, you would open this up in the morning, leave P on, and then that would show you all of the aircraft that are up during the day. As soon as they lose signal, they're still displayed. Whereas without the P selected, as soon as they lose the signal, they pop off the radar after about, or off the screen after about 30 seconds of no signal. R follows a random plane. There we go. And the F button is for follow. If I want the screen to move with this plane, I hit the F button. I can zoom in on it, and every time the position updates, the screen will move. You see how it recentered there when I hit the F button. Okay, let's take a look at some of the filters. Over here on the right hand side, you'll see there are 3 tabs: search, filters, and columns. If I wanted to search for a specific airplane, I could type in its either registration N number, N123456, or I could type in a text code. Here's a text code over here in the upper left. So let's say I wanted to find that one again, Lobo 474, I could type AE 1192 and it'll bring it up. There we go, AE 1192. Same thing for civil registration N number. And get rid of multi-select here. And there we go. If I wanted to jump to an airport, let's say I wanted to jump to New York, I type in its 3-digit identifier. EWR is New York. And it'll center the map on New York. So I wanted to go to Indianapolis, IND. Centers the map on Indy. Then just zoom in or out to your desired coverage. You can also type in latitude and longitudes in this. That takes a bit of time, and I don't use it all that often. I'm going to skip over filters for just a second and go to columns. Columns display, you can pick what you want to display down here, the data that you want to display. You see I've got wind knots, wind direction, distance, speed, altitude, type, call sign, the flag, and then the hex ID. I don't think I need wind direction or wind speed, so I can take those off. Let's see. But maybe I do want to see when it was last seen, especially if I have persistence mode on. We can see toggles through and updates when it was last seen. Same thing for any of these other categories. If you wanted the registration listed, if you wanted the squawk listed, so that you could identify a particular aircraft, you know what they're squawking, then you can have that. I generally leave it pretty much just like this. I take distance off, and there we go. Alright, so filters. ADSBExchange has a wide array of filters that you can use to manipulate the map and look at certain things, certain aircraft on the map if you want to. Let's say I only want to see aircraft between 10,000 feet and 50,000 feet. Pretty much everything that's flying high. Type in 10,000 to 50,000 and filter. Then you'll notice all the aircraft under 10,000 feet fall off. Anytime you want to reset the map, Just hit reset and it brings it back. Call sign is self-explanatory. If I wanted to filter by find a particular call sign, say I heard the aircraft on the radio on air traffic control and I know the call sign, but I don't want to take the time and look through the map and try to find it. So type in the call sign. We'll just use PAC. I know there's a PAC somewhere. There we go. PAC 82 is the only aircraft with PAC in it. Same premise. If you just heard that it started with a P, you can narrow it down by starting with a P, and it'll just give you everything that has a P in it. Reset the map. And say you wanted to look at, you heard the squawk code for a particular aircraft, or you want to look at all emergency squawk codes, or aircraft that are squawking emergency or squawking with a radio failure. 7700 is the emergency squawk, so we can type that in, press filter. None of our aircraft are squawking 7700. Let's find one that is squawking something. And squawk is displayed over on the left hand side. Oh, this is being tracked by MLAT, so I'm not going to get a squawk. Oh, there it is. Sorry, way up top. Squawking 2243. 2243. And filter. Only aircraft squawking 2243 is going to show on the map. Type code. Type code is right here. C30J for this particular aircraft is the type code. For ADSBExchange, it's not C130, it's usually C30. There are some that are coded as a C130. So if you want to look at all C130s, you need to type in C30 and C130. There will be some that show. So C30. Now if you have multiple, hit the key that's right above the enter, shift, and then hit the one that has the straight line. Not the backslash, but the straight line. And then C130s. And then hit enter, and it'll filter out everything but C130s. Type description. Type description is, oh, went away on me. It shows right here as type description. Land plane with 4 engines. So if I want to see the same thing, I could do L4T in the type description. I don't use this very often. And then it'll show, but it'll show all the aircraft that are type description L4T. There's L2J, which is for 2 jet engines, land plane, 2 jets. And there's several different type descriptions. You'd have to click on the aircraft that you want to look at and take a look that way to see what type description it is. Let's say I wanted to look at every, under type code, I wanted to look at every 747. Well, what ADSBExchange does is abbreviates the first 2 or Boeing is B, and then the 747 part would be 74. Now the last digit is the version. If it's a 200, a 400, a 600, whatever version 747 it is, would be that last number. I just want to look at all 747s. So B74. Let me click U. Let's try K35. KC-135s. Something's not right here. Let me hit reset on all these. There we go. It was still type description was still L4T. So give me a minute for my map to load here. There we go. Now let's try type code. Filter. No military 747s active. Let's see how many civilian 747s are active. There we go. 26. I can toggle labels to see who they're for. Now if you wanted to filter by a particular hex ID, you can do that as well. This particular hex ID is A5C99E. That's just the unique identifier of the aircraft. So let's say I wanted to filter by that, A5C99E. Case doesn't have to be, is not sensitive. And then there we go. It's only showing the one aircraft. Back to the 74, B74. Now you can filter by source. These are just different modes of the ADSB signal. There's traditional ADSB, multilateration, Mode S, which is commonly used by the military, ADSC, which is automatic dependent surveillance contract. I don't fully understand that, but it's just another mode. There's ADSR, I forget what ADSR stands for, and then there's TSB and other. So let's say I wanted to look at all planes that are being seen by MLAT, multilateration. Multilateration is where the aircraft isn't broadcasting the full signal. Usually it's a Mode S signal or a partial signal for their interrogation friend or foe transponder. And it has to be seen by up to at least a minimum of 4 receivers. And once it's seen by a minimum of 4 receivers, it'll start estimating its position, course, and speed. So let's say I wanted to look at all MLAT. Select the MLAT, hit filter. Let's reset that. All of these are aircraft that are being tracked via MLAT. Say I want to do, let's do Mode S. Filter, only 2 Mode S. Reset. Oops. It's going to take a minute to load because I've got all the planes selected. There we go. Say I wanted to look at ADSC. And that's all planes that are being seen by ADSC. Now these are database flags. PIA is a new program. It's I forget what it stands for, but it's similar to LAD. It's a privacy program for aircraft owners. You can filter by military, and then the LAD, which is limiting aircraft data displayed, which is what's responsible on other flight tracking websites for aircraft showing as blocked. Let's say I just wanted to look at military, which you can do the same thing with EU. You can filter with military, and that's what I usually do. I don't usually use the military filter here, but you see only military aircraft are showing. Say I wanted to change it and I wanted to just see the aircraft that show up as blocked. hit filter. There we go. 604 aircraft up that show as blocked. You click on any one of them and it'll show you right here on ADSB Exchange, and only on ADSB Exchange, who owns it, what's in the database for them. Let's pick another one. State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company. They're in the LAD program as well, and you can see database flags right here. So that's filters. Let me go over the left side of the screen here when you have an aircraft selected. I probably should have covered that earlier, but I just realized it now. So sorry about that. Bear with me. So when you select an aircraft, there's going to be a pop-up on the left-hand side that shows all the data on that aircraft. What the call sign is, what the hex ID is. If you wanted to copy the ADSB Exchange link for that so that you could share it somewhere, you just press copy and it'll go copied. If they have an image on planespotters.net or planespotters.com, it'll show up here. And then you'll see registration, the N number, where it's registered out of, any database flags. If it's a LAD aircraft or a PIA aircraft or military aircraft, it'll show that right here. The type, a description of the type, who owns it, type description, which is good for searching, the squawk. Now if you wanted to see what that aircraft's been up to, click on history here and you can click previous and look at the previous history for it. See when the last time this airplane was active. Looks like it wasn't active until the 2nd. It looks like it was coming back from somewhere out east. Let's see. Go back here. Yeah, there we go. From New York City, it looks like. On the 1st, did an out and back. And these are UTC, Universal Time Zone, Greenwich Mean Time, Zulu Time, all the same thing. If you're on the East Coast, you're 5 hours behind UTC time. So from 7 p.m. to midnight, that chunk of time is going to show up on the next UTC day. Let's say it had multiple legs. We can take a look at the legs. If we wanted to look at the individual, leg 1, and then all legs. It'll show you the time here. Now if we click on the trace, it'll do a playback. If we click on, let's click on 40 times. So it'll do a playback. And you can see it's slowly moving there. See if I can speed it up. There we go. A little quicker. Now under spatial, you're going to see the ground speed, the barometric altitude, and the WGS84 altitude, so the GPS altitude. So this is what their altimeter's reading, and this is what the GPS says they are. Usually these are pretty close, but I've seen them pretty far apart. Vertical rate will show you if it's either ascending or descending. Arrow depicts that. The direction, the heading rather. It's on a 280.9 degree heading. The current position. Distance, I'm not sure where the distance is from actually. Source, it'll show you the source here. For this particular aircraft, it's ADSB. Most of your civilian aircraft, your source is going to be ADSB. Occasionally, it'll be ADSC or ADSR. Most of your military aircraft are going to be MLAT or TSB. Just from my experience. Select that altimeter. selected heading, wind, speed and direction, ground speed. Sometimes it'll show the Mach, altitude, direction, stuff, not sure what that is, accuracy, and then export. Now let's say you wanted to export this to Google Earth so that you could see the flight path on Google Earth. You could export either the geometric altitude, the barometric and average, or the uncorrected pressure altitude. I just usually go for the uncorrected pressure because I'm not too worried about altitude because I'm putting it on a 2D map. But if you were putting it on a 3D map, select whichever one you would like. Alright, there's a couple of other things that we can go over here. I skipped over this. Click on your layers here. You can select aircraft positions. It'll show you, don't deselect these because then your aircraft go away. If you wanted your position and range rings on, let's see if it plots them. Yep, I'm down here in Jacksonville, Florida. So if I wanted my range rings and my position shown, I can do that. And these are just different maps, base maps that you can select between. If you're a premium member, you get a couple of extras. I am a premium member, but on this computer I'm not logged in yet, so I'll just scroll through the different ones. English, carto.com, English. You can see terrain map. That's with the satellite, composite satellite, so that you can see all the clouds. You can see the date is 12/4, so it's a couple days old. And then you can do dark. Just a variety of different maps. Now this OpenAIP TMS is a layer that you can select, and it will load all of the aerial refueling tracks for you. So give it a minute. My computer's a little slow. Give it a second to load. Oh, they changed this layer. Okay. So now it's got all the airports on it. This is neat. Military restricted areas, military operational areas. You can see all those outlined in red. These are VORs. They're used for airplane navigation. These are airports. And see all the restricted areas. I've really added to this map. That's neat. I haven't looked at this layer in a while. So that's there for you. If you wanted to look at sectional charts, I'm not going to scroll through all of these. But the aircraft navigation charts, you can do that. I usually leave it on carto.com English or one of the premium layers. Oh, there's air-to-air refueling. Okay. I see it now. I usually have radar selected so that I can see what the aircraft are flying around. So NexRad, select it, deselect it. NOAA radar, a lower resolution radar is what NOAA radar is compared to NexRad. US air-to-air refueling tracks, that'll bring up the air refueling tracks there. Now they have frequencies that correspond to each one of these. So if you see one of these in your particular area, there's a Department of Defense publication out there that's about 1,000 pages long. But if you search for it on Google, you can find AR110. You can find their primary and alternate aerial refueling track frequencies if you happen to be under AR110 or any of these other ones. And then air route traffic control center boundaries. That's different air traffic control centers. Where my mouse is right now is Jacksonville Center, Miami Center, Atlanta Center, DC Center, I think, New York Center. And then you've got various other centers throughout the United States. It just breaks up how they do air traffic control. To put this panel back, just click on the little double arrows. These arrows will pull the panel out or hide it. So if I want the panel hidden, I can hide it. Or if I want it to go across because I'm looking for something particular in the database, I can do that as well. Now if you wanted to adjust the size of the icons, click on the cog wheel there, just above the L. Then you can adjust that. This is really good if you're looking on your phone or on a smaller tablet, or if you have some vision issues. I can make the icon as big as I want. I can also make it as small as I want, where it almost disappears. Change my units, metric, imperial, aeronautical. I can choose what shows up. I don't want to see ground vehicles. Last leg only. I can do labels, historic track, label units, dark mode, dim map. I have the dim map, obviously. I can choose which pictures, whether they come from planespotters.net or planespotting.be. I think planespotting.be is the main one in Europe, and planespotters.net is the main hub in the United States. I can enable the info block. I can get rid of it. I can make it wider, a little bit bigger to read. If I didn't want the little block when I hover over the aircraft to pop up, I can click on that and get rid of the altitude chart. I'm not sure what the WebGL does. Now, down here at the very bottom is the altitude chart, and zoom in, zoom out. Orange is closer to the ground, on ground is gray, and as you go through up to purple is purple, and then it gets to red if you're above 40,000 feet. The different gradients, pretty much anything. Orange or yellow is low altitude, green to blue is mid altitude, and then dark blue to red is high altitude. If there's any questions about any of this that I didn't address clearly enough or accurate enough, go ahead and leave me a comment. While I'm on that topic, don't forget to like and subscribe to the videos so that you can get more interesting videos just like this. Now there's a couple other things I need to go over. All of these buttons have keys that correspond with them on the keyboard. So if I wanted to toggle military, I don't have to necessarily toggle the U with the mouse. I can toggle it from the keyboard just like that, and it'll show off. Same thing with H, same thing with T, L, O, K, M, P, I, R, and F. Those are the keys that correspond with their button on the map. Now if you wanted to hide the buttons, you did like them, you can press Shift and S. Well, it's supposed to hide them. I guess that one doesn't work. My bad. Sorry about that. There's different URL parameters that you can use as well. I don't really use any of them. The one that I do use is Kiosk and Replay. So after ADSB Exchange, do a question mark, and then I can go into Kiosk mode. And that's what Kiosk mode looks like. Can also change that. And if I wanted to do a replay of a particular area, type in replay and the replay bar shows up. Let me zoom in on the area here. Bear with me as my computer loads here. It's a little slow. Let me get rid of. There we go. Let me turn my labels back on. There we go. Okay, if I wanted to look at yesterday and see what activity happened around here yesterday, I can select the date and then hit play. And it'll show me all of the military activity. This is the time bar. And the play and pause buttons right there. You can see I'm in the middle of the night, so there's not much activity. Let me toggle off. There we go. So you can see it'll scroll back through the history and replay traffic in the area, which is a very neat feature. It works better than Flight Radar 24, I think, and it's a lot better. You don't have to deal with blocked aircraft, and you get to toggle on and off the military aircraft, unlike Flight Radar 24 or the other ones. Now, there's a couple of other interesting things that I can show you. Let's say, okay, pause. For whatever reason, I wanted to change my orientation of the map. Map orientation equals, let's say I wanted to have it 180 degrees. So I want it upside down. And there we go. Jacksonville is now upside down. South is north, north is south. It's a pretty trippy looking map that way. And if you think you've messed it up beyond all help, hit reset, type in reset, and it'll reset the map. Alright, that's it for this video. I don't think there's anything I missed, but if there is, go ahead and leave me a comment and I'll try to cover it in the next video. That's all for now. Bye-bye.